The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So President Trump went on Brian Kilmeade's radio show yesterday, not Fox and Friends, but Kilmeade's radio program, and covered a lot of topics, including his frustration with Fox.
I know you were critical of Fox yesterday. You came out and you tweeted Fox News heavily promoting the Democrats through the DNC communications director, spewing out whatever she wanted.
Absolutely.
So you were very upset.
No, I'm not happy with Fox.
That prompted a commentary from Neil Cavuto on his show. Neil Cavuto and Charles Payne are two of my favorite hosts, particularly on Fox Business. I think they do the best job, as I've said before, including when they've been on, getting the most out of their guests, like getting the most content in the segments that they have. So I've enjoyed them for a lot of years. And here was Cavuto's message to President Trump, not just about the Kilmeade interview, but also about his tweeting that to Trump supporters that Fox isn't with us.
But the president making clear to fact check him is to be all but dead to him and his legion of supporters who let me know in no uncertain terms I am either with him totally or I am a never Trumper fully. There are no grays, no middle ground. You're either all in or you're just out. Loyal on everything or not to be trusted on anything, which could explain the president himself this week bashing Fox News yet again, urging his supporters to stop watching the channel, to quote tweet, Fox isn't working for us anymore. Well, first of all, Mr. President, we don't work for you. I don't work for you. My job is to cover you, not fawn over you or rip you, just report on you, to call balls and strikes on you. My job, Mr. President, our job here is to keep the scores, not settle scores.
Yeah, and I agree with Neil Cavuto on that score. And I also think there is middle ground, and I think he's right. I'm sure he does get responses that suggest if you are critical at all, then you're somehow being disloyal rather than doing your job. And we've had that issue, too, on this show, too, where, look, I disagree with President Trump on trade policy. There are things he said on matters personal as well as political that have turned out not to be true. And Cavuto mentioned a few of those. They're just facts. And Cavuto went on to say, reporting something unpleasant isn't fake news. Expressing an opinion that runs counter to the president's opinion on a particular policy proposal isn't fake news. It's a disagreement. So I thought Cavuto's commentary was on the mark. But I also think like this whole kind of Fox is playing this role or not playing this role. I think it's all trying to shoehorn in to both the president and Fox News a description that doesn't fit. Fox News doesn't work for Trump. And President Trump can have expectations or desires of Fox News or any other news outlet. That doesn't mean they're going to be honored. And also, as we've talked about, and even CNN conceded this week in an exchange with their media reporter, Oliver Darcy, Shepard Smith is not Fox and Friends. Bret Baier is not Laura Ingraham or Tucker Carlson. There's a variety there. And oh, by the way, point of order, as CNN is sidelining anybody that would be more inclined than not to support Trump and his policies, there's a lot more diversity of opinion, Juan Williams and many others, on Chris Wallace or Bret Baier, many of the other shows, including the hosts like Shep Smith, than there are on the stations that decry Fox News, ironically. For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined by a gentleman I just mentioned. He is Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report, weekdays, 5 p.m. Chicago time. The book, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning.
I don't want to force you to comment on this Kilmeade interview or the Cavuto commentary, but did you have anything that you wanted to say in response to the Trump tweets and the ensuing the ensuing dissection of them?
I did it on the panel a couple of weeks ago after the tweets. I think Neil speaks for a lot of us. Probably leave it there. But, in the big picture, it opens the eyes to some people who paint with a broad brush and maybe take a look at our news program I say to people all the time, I've told you guys this before, watch Special Report 3 times and then drop me an email or a tweet or a post and tell me if you think it was fair. And if they do that, most people say it was. So I welcome the scrutiny, and I look forward to having the president on the show.
There you go. I think that's the right approach. Speaking of the president, tweeting about other topics yesterday after that Inspector General report on Jim Comey, which Comey treated as a clean bill of health, even though the Inspector General found in black letter that he had violated protocols, procedures, and his employment agreement. Comey's calling for public apologies to him, and Trump is saying that there's a few who have been disgraced, like Comey has been disgraced effectively. The Comey reaction to the IG report. I mean, I understand everybody's going to spin something in its most positive light to them.
He wants an apology.
But it really seems like, I mean, this is just sort of an unwillingness to confront any negativity and perhaps a concern about the other reports forthcoming from the Inspector General as well as the Durham investigation.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that this was an appetizer to Horowitz's bigger IG report about the whole process and the FISA abuse and what happened behind the scenes at the beginning of the Trump investigation. There were some nuggets in there that really didn't get a lot of coverage. One, that when he told then President-elect Trump about the dossier and briefed him about it, he told him, "You are not under investigation." He then went into a car and on a secure computer, typed everything Trump said in reaction to the dossier, and then got on a conference call with the Crossfire Hurricane team, which was already the investigation looking into not only the president, but his campaign and Russia. So there are little nuggets here that I think are foreshadowing what is to come from the bigger report. But I agree, Comey's response was, as I said yesterday, a little rich considering what happened with Hillary Clinton and how he said she did all these things but didn't recommend moving forward with prosecution. And frankly, it also tracks the Mueller report. The president said he was completely exonerated. There's a lot of things in there that also are negative.
And there's also, a level of arrogance that he thought he could do all this and not get caught, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think that he ever thought this day was coming. And I think that, he's taken a position that most FBI agents and former FBI agents will tell you makes them really uncomfortable. Rod Rosenstein yesterday tweeting out that essentially he broke the rules, and that's what rules are for. And for a guy who always touted the rules and how he was kind of the pillar of rules, it's kind of ironic.
Well, that's right. I mean, that's the key. Is, and I'm the pillar of rules, meaning not in the way that the Inspector General means it in terms of the rules, but Comey means I make the rules. I decide which rules to follow or not follow because my moral compass is superior.
Yeah, and that's what Democrats are saying is, thank goodness he broke these procedures and rules because we wouldn't have the details of President Trump's, conversations. And, I guess you can look at it in all kinds of different ways. But when it comes to letter of the law and how the FBI operates, he went outside that, according to Horowitz.
John Solomon reporting in The Hill that Trump is putting finishing touches on a White House initiative to declassify documents that have remained hidden from the public, provide more public transparency on the failings of the Russian collusion probe, perhaps other high-profile issues that are unrelated to all of this, including government's UFO files that have been, for the Area 51 crowd. But he goes on to suggest there should be other categories of documents he declassifies as well. National security assessments with respect to Hillary Clinton and the Russian uranium business, private correspondence between Obama and Iranian leaders, and, of course, the documents concerning Hillary Clinton's email controversy during 2016. Are you hearing similar rumblings about forthcoming declassification of documents and how expansive that might be?
I've heard that for quite some time, and it just hasn't happened, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a timing thing. I don't know whether they're waiting for, I don't know, the big Democratic rollout, and then a lot of stuff comes out. I don't know what the holdup is. He has pledged to do some of that already, and numerous times, and has not done it. So I have heard that, rumblings of it.
With respect to the 2020 election, Joe Biden specifically, since he just can't seem to get out of his own way, and maybe it's just a hazy recollection of events, but this apocryphal war story he told where he got just about every fact wrong that you can get wrong, and this is the Washington Post fact-checking him. What is the sense on the Hill of Biden's ability to withstand the primary, much less a general election against President Trump, among Democrats on the Hill?
There is increasing angst. And as these stories continue to filter up, more and more Democrats are getting worried. Remember, this, as you said, is the Washington Post. And the more this happens, the more those outlets are going to be looking at stories he's telling on the trail and saying, wait, is this real? Is this true? This latest one, is a long, long, detailed story he's told many times, which he got the rank, the service, the place, when it happened, wrong.
What office he held at the time?
Yeah, the office he
effectively.
held at the time, which was senator, not vice president. And, he goes into these things and people look at him and then he says, no, on my word as a Biden, or I'm not joking, folks, I tell you the truth. And it's not.
But he
Now,
keeps telling the
problem
story, and he
is
should stop.
Yeah, the problem is, for President Trump, if he's going to jump on this, he's not exactly the pillar of credibility either on some of his storytelling. So you have to balance it out. But for the Democrats, it is really, really increasing the anxiety level about the nomination.
And how do some of those immediate contenders like Warren and Sanders, how do they prosecute that case against him, say, in the forthcoming debate?
Well, that's a great question. I think that, I think they're probably going to hit on it somehow, some way. And I don't know, whether you get to ageism, charges. The Democrats are sensitive about, how they approach that. But I think that you watch Elizabeth Warren, maybe even Kamala Harris, take a swing at some of this coverage.
Joe Biden may need to pull out the old Reagan to Mondale line about my younger and inexperienced colleague, Elizabeth Warren. She's like 7 years younger. It's just, okay.
Yeah.
All right. He is Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, special report.
By the way,
yes, I'm
one
sorry.
thing.
Yes.
We're going to have a new tagline because I have a new book coming out in October called 3 Days at the Brink. 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's daring gamble to win World War II, about FDR, Churchill, and Stalin meeting in Tehran in 1943. So it comes out at the end of October. Pre-order the book now, and it is the third in the series of 3 Days books.
Excellent. 3 Days at the Brink about FDR and World War II, or you can pre-order now.
There you go.
All right. Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, special report, Chicago, 5 p.m. Chicago time, and 3 Days at the Brink, and the 3 Days Now trilogy. Bret, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Take care.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and